the form will play itself out in different forms. It could be dance, it could be hip hop, could be techno, could be anything, you know? It's life. Life is chi, chi is life. So everything in life is chi. So it's to be stuck in a form, I think it's to be doing us ourselves a disservice and to play, to enjoy. So from that day on, I just developed this Infinity Quantum Qigong. So infinity, because I started doing figure eights and flowing, and it felt so powerful. So when I did that with anybody, people became well.
Hello, welcome into Chi Time, your conscious living chill out show with me, Clara Apollo. And on this episode, I have for you an astonishing woman who I have met through Sharron Rose, another astonishing woman. We have AmaLia Wai-Ching Lee, who is an intuitive healer and a modern mystic. And she travels the world as a bit of a, what do you call it, galactic pilgrim or digital nomad, but no, facilitating healing of people and spaces. And she's also the associate producer of the Quantum Chi movie. So, and she's coming to the UK. She's going to come to Glastonbury on at the beginning of January. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So welcome to Chi Time, AmaLia. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Greetings from Bali.
Yes, from Bali to Glastonbury. Look at
Exactly.
that. Beautiful.
The lushness here. We're connecting the ley lines to Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been to Glastonbury almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I was already doing the ley lines work then. And at the tour, you know, and it was so beautiful to have been there, to connect with the Magdalene ley lines. And I'm so looking forward to coming back again.
I know. So I can't wait for you to be here either. And this serendipitous synchronicity occurred and through Sharron, who, because she's been on the show very recently talking about this incredible movie that you're in, along with another, how many other masters are in Quantum Chi?
About 30 of us.
And we were talking about doing screenings in the UK, and we were thinking, oh, maybe do it in the summer or something. And then she told me that you're coming over, and I'm like, oh my word! So we immediately hooked up, didn't we? And I've been conversing ever since and plotting and hatching plans.
Just plotting and hatching.
Things just coming through, though. And this is very much the feeling how you work, you know, or play.
Yes. Definitely play.
Intuitively.
Yes. It's synchronistic, and we're weaving the matrix right now for whether we say new or old, ancient ways into modern ways, you know, whatever it is, whatever names we want to call it, we are weaving, you know, beauty and goodness and service and whatever is good for the planet and for us, humanity at this time. Yeah, to be spiritual activists and whatever we are called to do, really. You know, so I'm so happy to be converging with you and really planning this with you. Such a beautiful feeling and experienced so far already.
So honored. And to kind of set the scene here for people around the heart opening, I just wonder if you've got a very short kind of suggestion that you can make to us around opening the heart and connecting into one another here and now.
Wow, you know, this is so timely, also so synchronistic, because I just finished a video, a little short vignette, right? The vignette of just opening the arms in the chi formation. So if you all like to do this with me, just open ourselves and take a deep breath in, and the guidance, the channeling that came through was open our wings to freedom with every breath. and that and bend like the bamboo, and it was just with the background of a bamboo and the bending over if you want to just open, breathing in. Oh yes, I'll go way back then. And coming back to the stillness of the heart. And the next image was a little leaf that was stuck to a rock and the swirling waters around. So just allow the waters of change to occur around us and stay still in the heart and firm like a rock.
Mm. That's so beautiful and so simple, but I love this essence of the Qigong of simplicity and beauty and connection and flow. And stability. Now, this is something that is so key at the moment. And I wonder, has this always been part of who you are and the training that you've had? A little bit about your background, AmaLia. How did you come to be the intuitive healer that you are now?
Well, I actually came from a lineage of healers. So my paternal and maternal heritage is just very much in the DNA of my blood. And of course, I had no idea that this was the case until even just 30 years ago. Just as with life's opening, one discovers one's journey. So on my father's side, my great grandfather was a Chinese physician to the Sultan of Selangor. And also, my father was able to do incredible things like heal a toothache with just placing a nail on the tooth and then nailing it to a tree. Yes. And then my mother's side is that there were all these wonderful six women shamanesses. They were excellent cooks. They worked with herbs and they made rice powder according to the full moon. And each one of them were excellent in massage, in beauty treatments, in making our own coconut oils. And I grew up that way, getting massages. I know, I'm so very grateful for that. So I'm really all for infant massage and massage as a very strong modality of healing where we can channel our own human energies to the other person,
Yeah.
right? And our love. So having grown up that way and having also been practicing qigong and tai chi with my mom in the temples in Singapore, I don't know which temples. I just followed along,
Mm.
and this is so important that we have this basis for the children at this time. So I love working with children and doing qigong with children. We do rainbow meditation, so it really sets the tone in a younger age. Sets the matrix for our remembrance, for our cellular memory.
Yeah.
So I
Mm.
also grew up with gardens around me, vegetable gardens, and and used to my very first herb that I took was the tulsi, the holy basil, in my mouth, and I was like I remembered that my it seemed as if my whole head opened up, the whole my whole head chakra, and I was about 5 years old. I used to run around and in my little white singlet and little undies and with my little China doll hairdo. I remember, and it's like knocking down tamarind from the trees and eating everything, all the herbs. So I am surprised I'm still alive, and that's how I grew up. That's why I'm also a culinary consultant and cooking and using a lot of herbs. And I used to be from, you know, the world of gastronomy where I would combine wine tasting with the different dishes. But now I basically design menus for my cancer patients and other clients who need rebalancing with
Mm.
food as medicine.
Oh,
So that's what I do now. So that's part of that evolution, and it all came from my background. And because we all love to cook and we love to eat and still love to do that, so
mm,
just exploring different ways of how we as human beings relate to the planet with food, with growing, and how we are part of the ecosystem as nature in qigong, and that we are actually nature itself, and that we are basically we are what we eat, and we are what's eating us in our emotions as well. So I also do some psychosomatic work this way, and deeply into the timeline work of discovering any trauma or wounding from this lifetime and other lifetimes as well. So anyway, I go on, and but this is because of my own journey in discovering who we are as human beings, and then I started looking at people in with different eyes, with different light, just wondering who they are and who they have been or who they can be. And so it gives me great satisfaction to be there for people, to take them through their journeys. So I feel very humble in doing that, and
Oh, wow,
very
that's
blessed.
such an empowering practice that you have for yourself and for others, to be truly seen and held and facilitate deep healing through, as you say, timelines and genetics and cellular memories. I think all of us hold collective wounds from our past. And like the past atrocities that have happened as nations, as peoples, as individuals, and this compassion for humanity that is coming through so strongly now. Do you feel it's about time we healed this?
Well, I like to believe that, but we are in a dimension of duality. It's yin yang, and perhaps it will always be that. Perhaps it will always be a realm of polarities, and that it's up to us to initiate our own soul to a higher vibration, a higher frequency, so that we can live in the center of this chaos, of this storm, and remain calm in the eye of the storm, and that we initiate ourselves into these higher planes. And then we maybe would choose to come back in a bodhisattvic way to help others.
Mm,
And who is to know the mysteries of life and the divine plan, and
mm,
our real purpose for being here? Okay, personally,
mm,
I just think it's one big, great experiment and experience for each one of us, and to discover who we are and in our essence, and to bring that forth. And I think that's the only responsibility that we have to our own
yeah,
souls. And then to express these ways of being in the world, in the way that we live. And then we do our best.
mm,
So,
mm,
yeah, so I sometimes feel perhaps I should not be, but I do, attached to some of the suffering in the world. But also, I'd want to move away from this belief of suffering as salvation, that we perhaps we
ah,
don't have to, that we
mm,
can live in heaven. And we want to bring heaven to everybody. And especially with the people I work with, I mean, there are women and children who unfortunately have been tortured and traumatized and violated in their personal integrity and being and their bodies sexually, and also in their own uh, self as human
mm,
beings. And so that's very painful in my heart, but the work will always continue. It's always been there for since
mm,
humanity, right?
mm, mm,
So if we look back in time, and then we can place ourselves in a proper perspective, perhaps, and not get caught up in our activism with anger or
mm,
grasping.
mm,
And I live very much like um, Thich Nhat Hanh, where I really admire in his book Peace in Every Step. I've met him and walked with him, and so that was a deciding um, energy in the way that I live, and I feel that it
mm,
is the most effective way for me. And if it's the most effective way for people, then I'm here to support that. And if it's not, then I just know that this is my way of looking holistically in the world.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
this is my way.
Beautiful, beautiful. So when you when we are dealing with trauma and all the difficulties in life, is that very much like what we're dealing with in the 3D world, and that when we can come into our spiritual presence, we can touch in with a part of us that has never been harmed, never can be harmed? Is that where we go when we come into that center stability balance? We can view the difficulties outside of ourselves, but right inside, somewhere deep in the center, is that peace, is that calm, is that tranquil connection to spirit.
Yes, it's such a truism that when we practice any kind of spiritual paths, that becomes a reality. I mean, in my own experience, because when I was going through my awakening, I was tuned into the possibility of me having ovarian cancer. I was 33. So it took me about 6 months to really go in and find that essence, find that core. And once I did, I then could help others, right? Healer, heal thyself, so you can be for others. And in 30 years of being for people, I found that it is true that women who have been so brutally traumatized can actually heal and find that peace and find that beauty, that innocence again within themselves. And that makes me even want to cry, and that there is some truism in this, all this spiritual woo woo practice, right? And I keep on at it and totally committed to people who are going through difficult times, that they will get there. And if I can only hold the sacred space, that they will get there. And so that will make it happen. So by projecting the reality of this perfected self onto the other, we can make it happen. So basically, I channel in that perfected self and transmit that light to the other person or to people. And also through technology, as I've been told that. And so I do a lot of a long distance remote
Yeah.
healing. Yeah. And this,
Yeah.
and it works. And so, through the miracles of that I experienced during this time, about 30 years ago, that in the miracles of healing, that's the miracles of medicine, and it it is true. It works. We have to believe it, and I believe that we are here on this planet as distorted souls, or not souls, the souls are intact, as distorted personalities, that we can regain this. And I suppose that this is the realm of suffering and difficulties. And again, back to your question on whether we would surpass this, I don't know. I really believe that there's or will always be a plane of um, challenges and obstacles and suffering. And we observe this, we
Mm.
experience this on a
Mm.
daily basis. We are not uh, uh, immune from it. We are always challenged, and even gurus and teachers, they are challenged by the challenges and their egos, and what their belief systems and so on. So we are all constantly being refined. I like to use that word,
Oh,
refined.
I love that, because also it's a potential call to mastery. When the difficulties come in, it's how you manage them. And I know that my Qigong practice has been utterly central to me managing having 5 years without a home. And
Mm,
that brought me back to my center time and again to find the home within me. And that,
exactly.
I still wobble, of course, like I'm like a regular human being, but I know that my practice at my center is what calls me back to stabilize in amongst all the chaos.
Right,
It's so
exactly.
essential.
We can only find sanctuary within the self,
Yeah,
ourselves. That's it.
beautiful, beautiful. So, AmaLia Wai-Ching is here with us on Chi Time. Wow, wow. And you have a school called the Infinity Quantum Qigong, yeah? How did you get to work? Because the whole infinity symbol to me has been very key in all of my Qigong training and my Reiki healing too. It just seems to be a natural symbol or image or wave or flow of energy that I recognize on a cellular level. I mean, could you talk to us some more about the
Yes,
infinity
yes.
and the eights?
Well, it certainly is in a cellular level because it is basically the sine wave, right, of and our double helix. That's in our DNA. That's how we came to creation, and also, okay, I'll back step into the time when I was in kindergarten. I couldn't stop myself from doing all this infinity drawings. You too.
Yeah,
So we're all part of that. So I just love to watch what little children draw. Right. That's why we use the healing arts. It's a part of that healing arts to do that to access our subconscious, superconscious. And so anyway, it started there. But I've always loved dancing, and the whole family dance. We are Peranakans, and we love a good time. And Peranakans are a blend of Chinese and Malay culture in Southeast Asia. So so the indigenous culture. And so later on, I practiced different kinds of dance. And one of them was, of course, Rakshaki, which is known as belly dance. It's the dance of fertility, the dance of connection with the earth, you know. And so my spine was actually trained to do it this way, to go the figure eights, right? Just like a belly dancer. So what happened was that combined with my Qigong practice and the Yang style Tai Chi, which was always practiced with a straight back, as was taught. Tai Chi, a straight back. So one fine day in San Anselmo, and I lived in Marin County in California and Larkspur. So San Anselmo and Robson Harrington Park. That's where I would go to practice with, went to practice with Sifu Feng Ha. So I was practicing the normal straight back Tai Chi one day, and suddenly I just looked up into the skyline, and there I saw these strands of light coming towards me. They were beautiful. They were looked like diamonds. They had the spectrum of rainbows, and they were like dewdrops that caught the diamond spectrum, and they were like necklaces, but they were shifting in their geometric shapes. And I was seeing all these different tectonic shapes coming from the sky towards me. And as it came towards me, I started feeling the vibration from deep within. And I started to vibrate. Yes, I know. I started vibrating, and and this vibration is actually the ancient practice of Wai-Tang. It's actually a part of Qigong. I don't know if you heard of this, but we start vibrating from the earth naturally. So of course, sometimes we simulate it just as we do with, you know, Tai Chi or this Qigong practices, all the forms before we connect with the actual Qi. So the primordial Jing. So we would sometimes practice, you know, vibrating, but this was really happening from deep inside me, the core, all my 0 point awakenings, just like, and then I went, and my spine was undulating like crazy, and I was vibrating, and I was all my cells were scintillating, and I was just into space with the amazing light, and everything turned to light, and I was still there on the open with my feet on the ground on the grass, and somewhere in my mind I said, oh my god, this is amazing, but I have to get back to my class. I was like, so I was able to be there in transcendence, but in my mental body, that's my point. And yet I could feel, you know, so I was in many places at one time. The multidimensional selves just like merged together. And so I said, what do I have to do to come back? I love this. And it seemed like eons being there, right? And light, and then of course it was just naturally so that I came back. So what was the most natural thing to do, which is what qigong is? Nature. What is natural? I took a deep breath. I took a deep breath. I took all the energy in into my lower dantian as I was taught. I was a very good student, and grounded it into the terrestrial energies, into my feet, into the earth as I was taught. And then it circulated it through the meridians, and then through my hands, and I brought it back into my dantian and grounded myself and
Mm.
just landed. I was in bliss and ecstasy and this incredible lightness of being that I was fully present. So this is what we want to go, right? In the Qigong practice. So somehow through these great blessings of the soul, I achieved a little bit of it that day. And then I looked and I went, oh, my class has gone ahead. I better catch up. So I went and caught up with them. And when I was doing the yang style, lo and behold, I could not keep my spine straight. I was going this way, like that, and the water off, and my spine was going. So I went like, whoa, this chi is different. I have to honor it.
Mm.
My spine was undulating. And so I told my teacher that, who totally understood that I have found my own chi. So this is something I honor in myself, that I support in class, to each person to find their own chi, to
Yes.
discover. So it's not about the form, it's about the connection. The form will play itself out in different forms. It could be dance, it could be hip hop, it could be techno, it could be anything, It's life. Life is chi, chi is life.
Mm.
So everything in life is chi. So it's to be stuck in a form, I think, is to be doing us ourselves a disservice, and to play, to enjoy. So
Mm.
from that day on, I just developed this infinity quantum qigong. So infinity, because I started doing figure eights
Yeah.
and flowing, and it felt so powerful. So when I did that with anybody, people became well.
Yes.
Their coughs cleared if I was to do it around the throat like this, and the headaches were gone. So I went like, wow, I'm like truly aligned here.
Mm.
So what happened after that was, then the same voice that told me that I could have had cancer, I would learn love through cancer if I didn't change. I was like, what? The same voice told me that I was to use quantum. I
Right.
said, like, quantum? I know the term, but I'm sorry, I'm not a scientist. I said,
Mm.
but you are. Because what happened was that I started seeing in my inner world the yin yang symbol,
Mm-hmm.
it in a vortex, but it was three-dimensional. So that was the sine waves, and then it started and interweaving, and one on top of the other. So I saw this huge interweaving of the double helix through the yin yang, and then through the smaller spheres, there were going this way and that way and coming back, the vortices. So they were spinning every which way, and that was what I saw. And then around that, with the hexagrams, they were pulsing on off like binary codes. So with that, that was what happened to me in my quantum field. So I was living the quantum field. And that's why I became a healer. I was able to access the information for myself. I heal really fast in my cells. I'm 63 almost. And 63, but that's just a number. And, and then we, and then I realized that when if I could take people in a sacred journey through voice, through the light
Yeah.
languages,
Yeah.
through the intention to that place, they would also experience that healing. And it's been proven for 35 years of healing work
Mm.
that there is a truism there.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
research it now. I don't
Okay.
need to have
Mm.
all the answers, but yeah, that's why it became infinity, quantum,
Right.
and of course
Cool.
qigong. Qigong is just energy work, right? And then we're
Oh,
just bringing
play.
it into the modern science. So
Exactly. Yeah,
here we
yeah,
are.
yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful explanation, and I could really feel the chi as you're speaking and describing. There's a real say there's a truth there, and that's recognised. So it's easy to easy for me to be able to
I'm getting
assimilate,
even true.
and that for people listening or watching, how is this feeling for you? You know, having AmaLia here, beaming her chi on chi time. Oh gosh.
I don't
And
know whether I could tell you a little story. During that time, when I was getting all these
oh yeah,
downloads, as we call it,
yeah.
I walked in the room and there was a church assembly.
Mm-hmm.
And this person says, I am not ashamed of speaking in tongues, you know? And then because I started speaking light languages from a
Mm-hmm.
Buddhist altar as well, and in Singapore. This all happened, this magic mystical tour happened. So, and he said, put your hand there and receive. And so I did, and I had a huge download
Okay.
through the hands. And I said, oh, so it works. And so I know that if we put the hand there, it actually transmits through the
Through the
centers, just like,
lagongs.
yes, through,
Yeah.
yes, and just like if you want to bring in our great master Jesus, you know, and all the other healers. I mean, we have only one anatomy, basically, but if we know how to tap into the portals of the
Yeah.
energetic fields, we know how to transmit and to receive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brilliant.
So we
Wow.
learn with, and this science has to come out
Yes.
with integrative medicine with
Yes.
the doctors. So I'm writing a curriculum to train doctors and nurses as well. Many of my clients are doctors and nurses.
Wow. I know.
Yeah, so
That is fascinating because I
medical.
started my healing journey as a nurse, so it's in my background. Basic healing and care and compassion for the human condition, but then
Yeah.
from this spiritual aspect of how your spirit can help you heal your physical body and manage. Well, that's why Qigong's helped me so deeply. I mean, I kind of saved my life really, and still
Mm,
does. I'm very blessed
yes,
to
yes.
have it in my life and share it with others. And I wonder how you got involved with the Quantum Chi movie then. How did you meet Sharron? Did she approach you, or did you happen to meet at a party, or what went on there?
Well, she contacted me, and she said she's just starting to do qigong, and she was interested in interviewing some teachers, and then up popped my name, and I was the only one who had quantum. Yes,
Nice, you were already there. Mm-hmm.
right.
You know,
And so,
yeah,
oh yeah, when we got together online, we spoke for at least 3 hours,
I
you know,
bet.
and
Oh
then
my goodness, I bet you did.
exchanging our visions and ourselves as women incarnated this time as women, and suddenly we have like 3 documentaries in that we're discussing that we want to do, because I was also had a vision of me becoming a filmmaker. I'm actually writing a script,
Okay.
sort of a Hollywood type script of,
Oh,
yeah, I mean a Hollywood type meaning that it could be a feature film, but
right.
could be a
Yeah.
documentary, and I love documentaries, and just because of it chronicling, you know,
Mm,
the ways
mm,
of humanity. Just love
mm,
it. And so I had a feeling of that. And then when we started talking, and then we went on, and then she invited me to be associate producer because I was sharing resources, ideas, visions, and constantly, you know, looking at how to guide the ways, you know, to bring it out, quantum chi in the world. She's an amazing filmmaker and a
totally.
vision, yes. And I know that actually the Council of Light chose her.
Right.
It's coming
Yeah.
through me, the Council of Light that guides me. Like,
Mm,
yeah, I said,
mm.
Sharon, you were chosen. to
Yeah.
do this. And we have been chosen to bring this out in the world. And
Yeah.
so here we are. And we know that even though we have to go through the usual uh,
Ways of being.
ways of going through technology or distribution, I am so of the belief that the right people will be coming to join us in quantum
Yeah.
chi and
Wow.
other projects and healing centers and
Yes.
so on, that that would be the right people
Yeah.
who the magic would be too immense, it'll be too intense to deny it, right?
Yay! So,
So
on
we
that
don't have to
very
worry about
note,
anything.
if you would like to hang out with AmaLia and myself in Glastonbury and see the first episode of the Quantum Chi series of documentaries, which I think is called May the Chi Be With You. So brilliant. Absolutely. Then come down to Glastonbury on the 3rd of January. We have a screening there, and Emily is going to be there doing a presentation and transmission as well, which she's been doing throughout the whole of this interview, which has been just beautiful. But then on the Saturday, she's going to be holding a masterclass for 2 hours in the afternoon between 2 and 4 p.m. So it's all on the website consciouslyvingevents.co.uk, and it's also on Facebook groups, Conscious Living Events, and yeah, we'd love to see you. And oh my goodness, it's going to be quite a phenomenal time, an amazing way to start the new year, because I was going to take time off, and then this happened, and it was like, no, there's something about the integrity of this year 2020, starting it off in this way, or continuing the journey with real blast off with the quantum qigong and the way of deeply caring for ourselves and being so kind to ourselves, so that it ripples through with the integrity and the healing and the light and the connection that we can do as spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So just before we go, we're recording this just before the solstice, so we're in the water season in the Chinese medicine calendar. And I was wondering, because you're over there in Bali, how does the water season kind of work if you're actually in the middle of warmth and
in the tropics, right?
in the tropics?
Well,
yeah, how does that work?
The water season makes itself very well known. It's
Oh,
rainy, very rainy.
okay,
Torrential, beautiful rain that makes everything so beautiful and lush.
and
And
cleansing.
cleansing. So water is very much a part of my life in the qigong, like clearing the blood, the lymph, the synovial fluids, the endocrine glands, the hormones, the cerebrospinal fluids and how it moves in the dura mater, and the tears and every saliva and how we work with the pearl as we swallow into the lower dantian. So the fluids of the body is key in as you know, to the translation of messages, the new frequencies coming in between the interstitial fluids, the interstitium, that's been discovered now as how the meridians flow. There is another aspect of anatomy that the doctors are beginning to recognize. Yeah, interstitium it's called.
How do you spell in? Sorry, I can't even say.
interstedium. It is the interface with the interstitial fluids of the intra and extracellular water balance. So it's how the synapses of the brain and how the mitochondria, just communicate with ourselves to be what they are. And so we can rejuvenate by just affecting that with the light that comes in with qigong.
Wow,
and
magical stuff. So, and we're nearly at the end of this
magic.
first
We are
interview.
magic. We are magic.
We are magical, aren't we? Totally magical beings. I mean, just to even look at the physical body and honor that magical majesty But then the
I'm almost going to
energetic
cry.
components, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
everything, the matrix,
it's
our
incredible.
brain, our entire system, and
It's just mind
so
blowing.
beautiful. And I just love like how Alex Gray has captured these
Yes.
multidimensional aspects of ourselves. And also the qigong practice, when we go in and we can develop that x-ray vision and
Mm,
what we can see, and
mm,
that's how we can detect. That's how I detected potential cancer, and I know many people have detected potential illness in themselves if
mm.
only they were more in tune, if only more intuitive, if only they listened to the intuition, inner teaching, right,
Yes.
of the self.
Intuition. Yeah.
For that, we have to slow down, be still, get to the center line. Simple things that everybody can learn. It's just that. Thank you.
Beautiful. Can you talk us through a little breathing process just to complete here on Chi Time, please, AmaLia?
Oh, I would love to. So, what has come to me too in my times of receiving this new information is this breath. And of course, I call it infinity breath, and it goes through the infinity orbits of the body. So just let it go wherever you want to. So if we gently close our eyes and then just focus on the breath and just receiving our soul matrix from the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planets. Allow the solar rays to merge and interweave with the lunar light in the lunar strands and weaving together, and now bringing in stellar light, that beautiful diamond necklace energy, weaving with the solar, lunar, and stellar strands now with the planetary light of many gemstone colors. Breathe in these colors into the body, down into the heart and the lungs, the middle Tantian, into the Tantian, the lower Tantian, down into the perineum and up the spine and to the top of the head, the upper Tantian. Breathing down again, this beautiful strands of light. And this time we breathe in with 8 counts, the infinity breath. We start with the natural breath and then the infinity breath, breathing in 8 counts in, holding for 8 counts, or as much as we can, releasing for 8 counts as you release into that body, and then up the spine, and then just relax and cruise for 8 counts, more or less, that we don't have to get caught up in the actual counts. So at your own pace, breathing in any time the 8 counts in, holding for 8, releasing down the front and up the back, and to the top of the head, connecting with the many spheres of light to the source, bringing out again for 8 counts, and then just be in still point, stillness. Practice this for 8 times, so let us do it one more time. There is a very scientific method of balancing oxygen and carbon dioxide that will take us to a theta state, to a trance state, but I won't explain it now. Just know that with this 8 counts in and holding the breath and holding it in and holding the chi, building up the charge in the body, and you begin to feel perhaps some tingling. The cellular level activity is starting to be heightened. The ATP production is heightened, the mitochondria being activated. So continue another cycle of 8 counts in, holding, building up the charge, down the front, up the spine, connecting through the top of the head to the source, through the many spheres of light, and the strands of light coming straight down into the body again. Take the energy to where you wish to heal. Continue. We should be around 5 or 6 cycles. Let's try and complete the 8 cycles. Continue. Enjoy. Smile. Down the front of the back. Breathing. Infinity breath. You may even place your hands in front of you, just collecting the chi pearl while you're doing this infinity breath. One more time, the last one. Collecting the chi between the hands, beautiful chi pearl, and bringing that in into the lower dantian, the navel. Taking one more breath in, and now taking it around the body with the palms up to the top of the head. We want to collect the chi with the chi ball above the head. Beautiful, and coming together with the yin and yang coming together, the left hand and the right hand merging and coming down the center line. The center line, the governing and central vessel coming straight down to the heart. Coming to the heart center, the middle dantian opening up and smiling. The inner smile into the heart, into the lips, to the eyes, with the soul power and soul energy of love coming through the eyes, opening up to open eye meditation, and then opening to ourselves and honoring each other. I hope to see you all in person in Glastonbury. And otherwise, feel welcome to connect anytime.
Yeah. Oh, so gorgeous. Can't wait to play that again, and also to play with that in my own time. Yeah, and I had like, yeah, we are so going to be doing some chi dancing, but as the energy was coming up, I had the figure of 8 was at the crown, you know, that's what one was dancing. It was, and I see feel it as such a harmonizing energy. And then there's all the magic around the number 8 as well, being the symbol of abundance. And I mean, it's just...
In the Chinese, very much so. And you know, Qigong is all about abundance. It's all about living an abundant life on the planet Earth, a mortal life. So we talk about money, we talk about cash flow with no reservation. So in part of this Qi work that we do, we're going to do some of that, right, in Glastonbury. Let's bring it in for ourselves and for the others.
Yeah, total abundance all the way around. So how can people find out more about you, AmaLia? Where can they go?
I think the best way is actually through Infinity Quantum Qigong on Facebook, or AmaLia Wai-Ching at mac.com. Right?
Okay, that's your email. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my email. Please write me your experiences, everybody in Conscious Living Land.
Yeah,
I love to hear.
Mm-hmm. Let's do that. Excuse me. And so looking forward to actually meeting you in person, though it's an absolute joy to meet you here through this magical network as well.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Science. Yes, thank you, Science. And if anyone is in London, perhaps we could also connect.
For sure.
Yes,
So of course, she's here connecting up with us all. So get in touch either directly with AmaLia or myself, Clara Apollo, here on Chi Time via the info@consciouslivingevents.co.uk or through Facebook, exactly. So Instagram, all that kind of jazz, even on Twitter sometimes. I forget much, but anyway.
I'm not on that.
No, not really.
I'm not. I have to be more techie, so I need help in that.
I wouldn't worry about it. You are connecting in such a true way with people that are going to get you anywhere. Yeah,
I know the future self is definitely here. Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, thank you so much, AmaLia, for being part of Chi Time.
Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you.
I love you too. Go well, my friend. See you really soon.
See you really soon. And give you a big, real hug, physical hug.
Oh, thank you.
Giving everyone an etheric hug right now.
Yeah, everyone in a big hug. Yeah. We're all on the same planet. We're all breathing the same air. We're all together as one.
As one.
Thank you so much, sweetheart. Bye for now.